This aeroplane here is the sister ship of the aircraft that's out the front, 959, 951, this one. They both went to Butterworth at the same time. This one went with 3 Squadron, the other one out there went with 77 Squadron. The aeroplane served in Malaysia for quite some time, and then it came back here, and I think went through like 5 A2U and 2 OCU basically before it was out of service. But the aircraft itself, a magnificent aeroplane to work on from a technical point of view, and a black hand of which I am. Everything's accessible, really, really accessible. And this aeroplane was so good in that way that they used it as a training aid down at Wagga for quite a lot of time. I mean, when I joined the Air Force and went through Wagga as a trainee, this is what I learnt to work on aeroplanes. Started on Windjills, and then we moved to the Sabre. And we have different jobs to do on the Sabre, remove undercarriages or flight controls, stuff like that. So, it taught you how to actually work on aeroplanes. You had to use the publications and the paperwork and all that sort of stuff.
So, the Australian Sabre, how was it differ from the American one?
Okay, basically, starting at the front, the most noticeable thing about the Australian Sabre is it's got the deeper intake. And that's because of the Avon engine. It's got a British engine. When they first decided to buy the Sabre, originally they wanted to buy American Sabres straight up, but they also wanted to manufacture them in Australia. And at the time, the best engine in the world was the Avon engine, which Australia was already producing for the Canberra. So that's Wackett, I think his name was. He decided that it'd be good to redesign the aeroplane to accept an Avon engine. And the redesign of this aircraft was really, really significant. I mean, the changes were amazing. To look at the shape of the aeroplane, it look like it hasn't changed that much, but once you get into it, the aeroplane is a lot different to the American one. For example, as I said, the bigger intake, the aeroplane's 6 inches shorter than the American one. It's armed with cannon rather than machine guns, which the early American ones did. Later American F-86Hs had 20mm cannon as well, but the Australian guys stuck with the 30mm Aden gun, which is another British gun as well. The aeroplane later on in its life was modified to accept Sidewinder missiles, and it was the first aeroplane in the RAF at that time that had air-to-air missiles fitted to it. And then later on in its life too, they actually looked at trying to get rid of the gun on the Sabre altogether and make it a fully missile armed aircraft in the form of British Spy Street missiles. And basically what they did is they took the gun out, took all the systems out for the gun and put a big radar fairing under here for the Fire Street missiles, which were basically in this area here on another panel, pylon I should say.
You were talking about the wing before, how the wing's been specially designed.
Yeah. The early Sabre, the Mark 30, had a fully leading edge flaps, okay? And the Mark 31 and Mark 32, this one's the Mark 32, adopted what they call the 6.3 wing. The 6.3 wing being it's 6 inches wider at the chord than it is at the outboard section, which is 3 inches. And basically that was because the aircraft lost a lot of energy when it was in dogfights with leading edge slats and stuff like that. It slowed the aeroplane down. So as a penalty for that, it just increased the aircraft's landing speed but made it more stable at high speed, dogfighting and stuff like that. Another thing they put on was the wing fence. The wing fence there stopped the washout and made the aeroplane more responsive and controllable. The aeroplane itself, you look at just the way that the fuselage is laid out there, everything is very, very accessible down there through your
Lots of panels.
Yep. And to get the engine out, it's basically what they have a fuel brake. It's got a vertical fuel brake. The American one has got an angle fuel brake. I'll show you what I mean by that. The American one basically at the wing loop here had a sort of like, I can't remember what angle it was, but it went up at that angle there and the fuselage came away, whereas the Australian one, its fuel brake is back here and it's vertical. it makes it a lot better, a lot easier to get to and all that sort of stuff. And once you take the tail cone off, it's on a cradle that rolls away out of the way there. You've got full access to the Avon and you can pull the engine out and put the new one in.
So when were these retired? The service?
The last Sabres went out of service around about the end of 1971. I remember seeing them at the 50th anniversary air show, the 502U, which was the last unit to fly them.
Yep.
Basically, they took every serviceable aeroplane, I understand, to the air show, and that was for the 50th anniversary of the RAF. And I thought that was pretty amazing because they come over in a big diamond, and a single aircraft put on a single aircraft handling display. And I remember him flying past the crowd with the canopies slewed back, and he's waving to the crowd. There's not too many jet aeroplanes that do that sort of thing, which I thought was pretty damn good. Yeah, really good. For me personally, I think this is one of the most beautiful aeroplanes that's ever gone. Really, it just looks nice. It looks right from the start. The Mirage is absolutely gorgeous too, but I don't know, there's something about the Sabre that I suppose as being a kid, it was like that's what jets look like. You know. Yeah.
Well, thanks for that. Thanks for your insight. I'm sure the viewers there will really enjoy it.